I live in a small suburb outside Minneapolis, Minnesota. Quiet neighborhood, tree-lined streets. The kind of place where people wave at each other and leave their doors unlocked during the day. I moved here 8 years ago after my divorce. Bought a modest 2-bedroom house at the end of a cul-de-sac. Nothing fancy, just enough space for me. I've been a nurse for 22 years. Emergency room at Hennepin County Medical Center. Long shifts, 12 hours on my feet, blood and chaos and split-second decisions. I've seen things that would keep most people up at night. Car accidents, gunshot wounds, overdoses. After all that, coming home to silence felt like heaven. I liked living alone. I liked my routines. Coffee at 5 a.m. before the early shift. Glass of wine on the porch after a late one. I knew every creak in my floorboards, every shadow on my walls. I felt safe here. Last spring, a man moved into the house next door. The place had been empty for almost a year. The previous owners were an elderly couple. They moved to Florida to be closer to their grandchildren. The new neighbor introduced himself as Warren, mid-40s, average height, brown hair going gray at the temples. He had a calm voice and a friendly smile. He said he worked from home, something with computers. Consulting, maybe. I didn't ask too many questions. We fell into a polite routine, waving when we got the mail, small talk about the weather. He commented once that he admired my garden. I thanked him and went inside. Nothing unusual, nothing that stood out. The first strange thing happened about 6 months after he moved in. It was a Tuesday. I had just finished a brutal night shift, 16 hours in the ER. 3 critical patients, 1 didn't make it. I was exhausted in a way that goes beyond tired. I came home around 7 a.m., kicked off my shoes, dropped my bag by the door, went straight to my bedroom to collapse. But something felt wrong. I stopped in the doorway. My closet door was open, just a few inches, but I always close it. Always. Every single night before bed. Every single morning before I leave. It's one of those things you do without thinking, a habit so deep it's automatic. I stood there staring at it. My heart started beating faster. I told myself I must have been careless. I was tired. I wasn't thinking straight. I closed the door and went to bed, but I couldn't sleep. And after that, the house started doing little things that didn't add up. A batch of soup in the fridge was suddenly half gone. My prescriptions on the top shelf, blood pressure, thyroid, sleep aid, weren't in their order anymore. A dresser drawer that was never left open sat a finger's width ajar. A shoe in my closet faced the wrong way. A towel in the bathroom was folded differently than I fold them. And sometimes for a second the air carried a faint masculine cologne that didn't belong to me. I checked every window, every door, all locked. No signs of forced entry. Nothing broken, nothing missing. I told myself I was being paranoid. Stress from work, lack of sleep, grief from losing that patient. My mind was playing tricks on me. That's what I wanted to believe. Then came the night that changed everything. It was a Thursday. I had the day off. I spent the afternoon doing laundry and watching TV. Made myself a simple dinner, pasta with marinara, glass of red wine. I was in bed by 10, reading a book, trying to relax. Around 10:30, I got up to brush my teeth. The bathroom light was on. The rest of the house was dark. I was standing at the sink, looking in the mirror when I saw it. A tiny red dot on the glass, moving slowly, left to right. Then it stopped. Then it disappeared. My heart froze. I stopped breathing. I watched the mirror, waiting. Nothing, just my reflection, just the white tiles behind me. I turned off the light. The bathroom went dark. I stood there in the blackness, watching, listening. After about a minute, the red dot appeared again, this time on the wall across from my window. Small, steady, like a laser pointer. Coming from outside, I dropped to the floor, crawled out of the bathroom on my hands and knees. My whole body was shaking. I grabbed my phone from the nightstand, dialed 911. 2 officers arrived within 15 minutes. I met them at the front door. I was still in my pajamas, still shaking. I told them everything. The closet, the food, the medicine cabinet, the red dot. One of them handed me a blanket. The other went outside to investigate. He walked around the side of my house with his flashlight. Then he stopped. He was looking at Warren's house. His radio crackled. He said something I couldn't hear. Then he motioned for me to come outside. Warren's bedroom window faced mine. maybe 30 feet away. The officer aimed his flashlight at the glass, and I saw it, a camera, on a tripod, pointed directly at my house. A small red laser sight mounted on top, the same red dot I had seen in my mirror. They knocked on Warren's door. No answer. They knocked again. Louder. Identified themselves. Demanded he open the door. Finally, the door opened. Warren stood in the frame. His face was calm, almost peaceful. He looked at me across the yard, and he smiled. That smile will haunt me forever. They arrested him on the spot, handcuffed him in his own doorway, read him his rights, put him in the back of the patrol car. I watched from my porch, wrapped in that blanket, shaking so hard my teeth were chattering. What they found inside his house made me physically sick. Warren had cameras pointed at my bedroom window, my bathroom window, my living room window, hundreds of hours of footage. Me changing clothes, me showering, me eating dinner alone, me sleeping. 6 months of my life recorded without my knowledge. But that was only the beginning. His computer had access to my entire digital life, my Wi-Fi network, my emails, my text messages, my calendar, my medical records, everything. The detective explained it to me later. My router still had the default password, the one printed on a sticker on the bottom. I never changed it.
Never thought to.
Warren had been connected to my network for months, reading every message I sent, every appointment I made, every private thought I typed into my phone. He knew my schedule better than I did. He knew when I worked, when I slept, when I left the house, when I came home. He knew I was going to be exhausted that Tuesday because he read my texts complaining about the long shift. He knew I would be too tired to notice. And he had been inside my house. The forensics team confirmed it. His fingerprints were on my closet door, on my refrigerator handle, on my medicine cabinet, on my bedroom doorknob. He had a key, a copy he made from a photograph. He had zoomed in on my keychain through his camera, enhanced the image, had a duplicate made at a hardware store. For 6 months he had been coming into my house while I was at work, going through my things, eating my food, touching my clothes. Sitting on my bed, the detective sat me down at the station the next day. She had a folder in front of her, thick, heavy. She opened it slowly. Warren isn't his real name, she said. His name is Carl Bremer. She slid a photo across the table. A hospital ID badge.
Hennepin County Medical Center.
Same hospital where I work. Same face as my neighbor. Different name. He was a nurse, she said. He worked in the ER, just like you. He was terminated 2 years ago. I stared at the photo. I didn't recognize him. I had never seen him before. Not in the hallways. Not in the break room. Not anywhere. I told her that. She nodded. You wouldn't have. He worked night shifts. You were on days back then. Different schedules. Different teams. She pulled out another document. A termination letter. His termination letter. He was fired for misconduct, she said. The same week you were promoted to head nurse. Your position was posted internally. He applied. He was rejected. You got the job. The room started spinning. I gripped the edge of the table. He blamed you, she said. In his journal, he wrote that you stole his life. Your promotion cost him his career. His wife left him. He lost his apartment. Everything fell apart. She paused. He moved next door to take it back. One day at a time. I never met him. I never knew he existed. I was just doing my job. Filing paperwork. Taking care of patients. I didn't know anyone was being fired. I didn't know anyone blamed me. And for 2 years he had been planning this, watching, waiting, building his case against me. In his journal he wrote that he wanted me to feel what he felt. The violation, the helplessness, the loss of control. He wrote that he wasn't finished, that there was more he wanted to do. He didn't specify what. The detective told me they found research on his computer. How to disable home security systems. How to pick locks without leaving marks. How to make someone disappear. We think you called us just in time, she said. Carl Bremer is in custody now, awaiting trial. His lawyer is pushing for a psychiatric evaluation, trying to get the charges reduced, trying to get him out on bail. The prosecutor says I'll have to testify, sit in the same room as him, look at him while I describe what he did. I sold the house last month. I couldn't stay there. I couldn't sleep in that bedroom. I couldn't shower without checking every window. I couldn't open my closet without my heart racing. I'm staying with my sister now. Different city, different state. I changed my phone number, deleted my social media, started over, but sometimes at night, when the house is quiet and the lights are off, I still see it. That tiny red dot, moving slowly across the wall, stopping, watching, and I wonder how long he was there before I noticed. How many nights he watched me sleep. How many times he stood in my bedroom while I was at work, touching my things, breathing my air, waiting. I used to feel safe in my own home. I don't anymore. I don't see red dots anymore. I see schedules. I work as a night security guard at a luxury apartment building in Philadelphia. 12 floors, 48 units, marble lobby, glass elevators, polished brass fixtures. The kind of place where rent costs more than most people's mortgage. The kind of place where people pay for privacy. My job is to make sure they get it. I've been doing this for 9 years. Same building, same desk. Same 16 camera feeds on the monitors in front of me. Hallways, stairwells, parking garage, loading dock. Every corner of the building, always visible. Most nights are quiet. I buzz in late arrivals. Sign for packages. Walk the floors every few hours. Chat with the doorman when he's bored. Nothing exciting, nothing dangerous. Just long hours and bad coffee and the hum of fluorescent lights. Until last month. It was a Thursday night, middle of February. Cold outside. The kind of cold that keeps people indoors. The lobby was empty. The cameras showed nothing but still hallways and closed doors. Around 2 a.m. I was reviewing footage from earlier in the evening. Routine stuff. Making sure nothing looked off. That's when the intercom buzzed. Unit 804. I looked at the screen. The name read Marsh Elaine. I knew her. Not well, but enough. She was in her mid-50s. Widowed, I think. Or maybe divorced. She lived alone now. Her son had moved to Boston for college about 2 months earlier. I remembered helping him load boxes into a moving truck. Big kid. Polite. Studying engineering, he said. I pressed the button. Front desk. How can I help you, Miss Marsh? Her voice came through the speaker. Quiet. Barely a whisper. Shaking. Please help me. There's someone in my apartment. I sat up straight. My hand went to the phone. Ma'am, are you sure? Can you see them? No, she said, but I can hear him. He's in my son's room. I can hear his music playing. I pulled up the camera feed for the 8th floor. The hallway was empty. No movement. No one near her door, just beige carpet and brass sconces and silence. Stay where you are, I said. Lock your bedroom door if you can. I'm coming up. I grabbed my flashlight and my master key, told the doorman to watch the monitors, took the elevator to 8. The hallway was quiet. My footsteps were the only sound. I walked slowly toward 804, listening, and then I heard it. Music, faint, coming from inside the apartment. Some kind of indie rock. A song I didn't recognize, but it was definitely playing, muffled by the walls, but there. I knocked on the door. Security, Ms. Marsh, it's me from the front desk. I'm right outside. I heard footsteps, shuffling, then the click of a deadbolt. The door opened. Elaine Marsh stood in the doorway. She was wearing a bathrobe. Her face was pale. Her eyes were wide. She was holding her phone in both hands like it was the only thing keeping her upright. He's still in there, she whispered. In Nate's room. I heard him walking around. I heard the dresser drawers opening. I looked past her into the apartment. Dark living room, kitchen to the left, hallway to the right. And at the end of the hallway, a door with light spilling out from underneath. The music was louder now, clear enough that I could almost make out the lyrics. Stay here, I said. Stay by the front door. If anything happens, run. She nodded. Tears were streaming down her face. I walked toward Nate's room. Slowly, the floorboards creaked under my weight. The music kept playing. A Bluetooth speaker, probably.
Connected to something.
I stopped outside the door. Knocked once. Security. If anyone's in there, identify yourself. Nothing. Just the music. Some guy singing about love and loss and highways. I used my master key. Turned the handle. Pushed the door open. The room was empty. Bed made. Posters on the wall. A desk with a laptop. A Bluetooth speaker sitting next to it. Still playing. The screen showed a Spotify playlist. Nate's playlist. Streaming from somewhere, but there was a smell. Faint but unmistakable. Cologne. The cheap kind you buy at a drugstore, and underneath it something else. Body odor, stale sweat, like someone had been in this room for a long time. I checked the closet, empty. Checked under the bed, nothing but dust bunnies. Then I noticed the window. It was open, just a few inches. Enough for a breeze to slip through. Enough for a person to climb out. The fire escape was right there. Metal stairs leading down to the alley. I stuck my head out, looked up, looked down. Nothing. Whoever had been here was gone. I called the police. They arrived in 15 minutes. 2 uniformed officers. Then a detective. Then a forensics team. I stayed with Elaine in the lobby while they worked. She couldn't stop shaking. She told me about the last few weeks. Little things she had noticed. Things she thought she was imagining. A few items in the fridge disappearing faster than they should. A carton of milk emptied overnight. Bread going stale. Grief brain, she called it. Her husband had died 2 years ago. Then Nate left for college. She was alone for the first time in decades. She figured her mind was playing tricks on her. But there was more. The smell of cigarette smoke in the hallway sometimes. She didn't smoke. No one on her floor smoked, but she would catch a whiff of it late at night. Gone before she could trace it. And Nate's room, she had kept it exactly the way he left it. A shrine, almost. But things kept moving. His cologne bottle in a different spot. His chair pulled out from the desk. His closet door open when she swore she closed it. She thought she was going crazy. She almost checked herself into therapy. She almost called Nate to apologize for bothering him. Then tonight happened. She woke up at 1:30 a.m., heard footsteps, heard the music start playing, smelled that cologne, and she knew. Someone was in her home. Around 4 a.m., one of the officers came down to the lobby. He looked pale. He asked me to come with him. We took the elevator to the 8th floor. But we didn't go to Elaine's apartment. We went to the end of the hallway, to the storage units. Every unit on every floor has a small storage room, maybe 6 by 8 feet, for bikes, luggage, seasonal decorations. Elaine's was the last one on the left. The lock had been picked. The door was open. Inside, I saw a sleeping bag, unrolled on the floor, a pillow with no case, empty food containers stacked in the corner, takeout boxes, granola bar wrappers, water bottles, dozens of them, a phone charger plugged into the outlet, a small LED lantern, a pile of clothes in a plastic bag, Nate's clothes, his t-shirts, his jeans, his college hoodie, all worn, all unwashed, smelling like sweat and cigarettes and that cheap cologne. And tucked behind the lantern, like it mattered, was a printed photo, a clean, glossy school-style headshot of Nate. Folded once down the middle, the crease rubbed white from being handled too many times. And there was a journal, composition notebook, black and white cover, filled with handwriting. The detective showed me a few pages, entries going back 8 months, detailed notes about Nate, his class schedule, his girlfriend's name, his favorite coffee shop, his social media posts, copied word for word, photos printed from Instagram, taped to the pages, maps of the building with unit numbers circled, timestamps of when Elaine left for work, when she came home, when she went to bed. The man had been watching Nate for 8 months, since before he left for college, waiting, planning. The moment Nate moved out, he moved in. He had been living in that storage unit for almost 2 months, coming out at night, walking into Elaine's apartment with a key he had copied, sitting in Nate's room, wearing his clothes, playing his music, using his cologne, eating his mother's food, sleeping 20 feet from her bedroom, and waiting. At the bottom of the storage unit, under the sleeping bag, the police found a plastic bag. Inside were zip ties, duct tape, a hunting knife, still in the packaging. The detective told Elaine that if she hadn't called when she did, they believed the man was planning something worse, something that night, something final. They never found him. The fire escape led to an alley. The alley led to a street. He disappeared into the city. Elaine moved out the next morning. She's staying with her daughter in New Jersey now. Nate came home from Boston. He's afraid to go back, afraid the man might follow him there. I still work the night shift. Same building, same desk, same 16 cameras. But now I check the storage units every hour. I listen for music that shouldn't be playing. I smell for cologne that doesn't belong. Because I keep thinking about that journal. 8 months of watching, 8 months of waiting, and none of us knew. He was right there, in our building, on our floor. Behind a door we walked past every day, and we never knew. Most nights the building is quiet, until a song starts playing. I've been a hiking guide in the Colorado Rockies for 15 years. I know these mountains the way most people know their living room. Every trail, every switchback, every hidden waterfall and rocky outcrop. I've led thousands of people through this wilderness. Families, solo hikers, scout troops, corporate retreats. I've handled medical emergencies, bear encounters, lost children, broken ankles. I thought I had seen everything these mountains could throw at me. 3 weeks ago, I found out I was wrong. It was a Sunday afternoon, clear sky, warm for early March, the kind of day that brings everyone out of hibernation. The trailhead parking lot was full. I was finishing up some paperwork at the ranger station when I heard shouting. A man came running down the main trail, full sprint, arms pumping, face white. His name was Travis, late 20s, experienced hiker. I had seen him on the trails before. He was the type who went out alone, stayed out for hours, came back calm and satisfied. Not the type to panic, but he was panicking now. He grabbed the railing of the station porch, bent over, gasping for air. I gave him water, waited for him to catch his breath. "There's something up there," he said. His voice was shaking. "About 2 miles north, off the main trail, past the big boulder field. You need to see it." I asked him what he found. He shook his head. "I can't explain it. You have to see it yourself. But I'm not going back there." I radioed the main station, told them I was checking out a possible situation. Then I followed Travis's directions. The main trail was busy. Families with strollers, couples holding hands, dogs on leashes. Normal Sunday afternoon stuff. But about a mile in, I turned off onto a smaller path. Less traveled, steeper. The trees got thicker. The sounds of people faded away. After another mile, I reached the boulder field. Big granite rocks scattered across a hillside. I climbed through them following Travis's description, past the rocks, into a dense grove of aspens. No path here, just undergrowth and fallen branches and silence. I pushed through for maybe 10 minutes, scratched my arms on branches, tripped on roots, started to wonder if I was going the right way. Then I saw it, a structure built into a hillside, half underground. The entrance was a wooden door, weathered grey. The rest was covered with branches and leaves and dead grass, camouflaged. If you weren't looking for it, you would walk right past and never know it was there. I approached slowly, drew my bear spray. Not that it would help against a person, but it was all I had. I pushed the door open. Inside was a single large room, maybe 12 by 15 feet. Dirt floor, packed hard. Log walls, chinked with mud. A cot in one corner with a sleeping bag. A camping stove. Canned food stacked against the wall. Water jugs. A lantern. Everything neat, organized, like a cabin, like someone's home. I stepped back out, forcing air into my lungs, and that's when I saw what made my stomach drop. The aspens around the entrance. Their white bark was covered with carvings, names, dates. Dozens of them, maybe hundreds. Some were fresh, the cut still pale. Some were old, the bark grown thick around the letters. Some were so weathered I could barely read them. I walked from tree to tree, reading, counting. Jennifer M., 6/14/2019. David and Sarah K., 8/3/20. Michael R., 5/22/2021. Sophie 9/8/2015. The oldest one I could make out said Paul W., 1997. 26 years ago. I stopped counting at 60. There were more, many more, spreading out into the forest in every direction. I went back inside the structure. My hands were shaking. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. On a shelf above the cot, I found notebooks, stacks of them. Old composition books with marbled covers, spiral notebooks with bent spines, legal pads with yellowed pages, all filled with handwriting. Small, neat, meticulous. I opened one at random. Descriptions of hikers, what they wore, what they carried, whether they were alone or in groups, what time they passed certain points on the trail, physical descriptions, hair color, build, distinguishing features, sketches of faces, surprisingly detailed. Maps with routes marked in different colored inks, schedules, patterns, notes about who came back to the same trails week after week. Some entries went back years. The same handwriting throughout. The same careful observations. One person, watching, recording, for over 2 decades. In a wooden box near the cot, I found the trophies. Hair, small bundles tied with kitchen string, different colors, different lengths, labeled with dates on small pieces of tape. Driver's licenses, 9 of them, from different states. Colorado, Utah, New Mexico, Wyoming. Different faces, different names, all smiling in their photos. Shoelaces, more than a dozen pairs, knotted together in a long chain. A child's bracelet. Pink and purple beads. A small metal plate with a name engraved on it. Sophie. A wedding ring. Plain gold band. Inscription on the inside. Forever. DNS. I couldn't breathe. I stepped outside. Bent over. Dry heaved into the bushes. Then I pulled out my radio. By evening, the site was swarming with investigators. County sheriff, state police, FBI, Forest Service. They set up lights, strung yellow tape, photographed everything, catalogued every notebook, every carving, every trophy. I gave my statement 4 times. Same questions, same answers. Then they told me to go home. There was nothing more I could do, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. Couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. I kept seeing those trees, those names, those dates. 3 days later, the detective called me. They had identified one of the driver's licenses. A woman named Karen Holloway, age 34 at the time, reported missing 3 years ago. She and her husband had gone hiking in a state park about 60 miles from here. They never came back to their car. Search teams found nothing, no bodies, no evidence. The case went cold. Now they had evidence. Her license. Her hair in a bundle, labeled with a date, her name carved into a tree. The date on the carving was 2 days before she was reported missing. They found her husband's license too. Same box, same date carved into an adjacent tree. His wedding ring, forever, DNS. David and Sarah. The investigators are still going through the notebooks, still matching names to missing persons cases, still trying to understand the scope of what happened here. They found references going back to maybe earlier, 20 years of watching, 20 years of hunting, 20 years of collecting. The structure is empty now. Whoever built it is gone. No fingerprints, no DNA, no trail to follow. The forensics team said it looked like the place had been abandoned recently, maybe within the last week, like someone knew we were coming. I've been a guide in these mountains for 15 years. I've walked past that spot dozens of times, maybe hundreds. I never saw it. I never suspected anything. I sent hikers up that trail every week. Families, children, people who trusted me to keep them safe. And the whole time, someone was watching. From the trees, from the shadows, writing down their names, deciding who would be next. The park is still open. We had to keep it open. But I warn people now, stay on marked trails. Don't hike alone. Tell someone where you're going and when you'll be back. If you see anything strange, report it immediately. Most people nod and forget. They think it won't happen to them. They think danger only exists in cities. They think the forest is safe. I thought that too once. Not anymore, because somewhere out there, he's still watching. New trails, new faces, new names to carve. And I keep thinking about that little girl's bracelet. Pink and purple beads. Sophie, 9 years old, maybe 10 at most. There's no missing persons report that matches. No one named Sophie in the databases. There's no report for Sophie. Not yet. If you made it to the end, you're part of this now. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Like the video if it got under your skin. And leave a comment. Which story would you never want to live through? Comment below. I will answer. Promise.